Okay, I'm going to start recording now, and I will post this for those who miss it. But I'm going to start. Oh, there's Oliviana. Hello, Oliviana. I'm going to start by sharing a screen and start talking about our lesson today, which is course 2. We're going to be talking about diagonals and interior angles. We'll be talking about all kinds of shapes and stuff. Let's start with talking about diagonals. A diagonal, when we're talking about shapes, we're talking about four-sided shapes, we're talking about all different kinds of sides of shapes. But when we're talking about diagonals, we're talking about a line that starts in one corner. And how many lines can you draw to create triangles? Well, in this particular shape, there's only one diagonal we can draw. And that separates that shape into two different triangles. What that tells us, though, is that, whoops, didn't want to do that. What that tells us, though, I can move this out of the way is what I'm going to do. What that tells us, though, is if I have to add all the angles in this quadrilateral, one quick way to figure that out is to say to myself, how many triangles are inside that? And we know that there's two triangles, right? Because there's two triangles, and each triangle is 180 degrees, I know that all the angles in that shape are going to add up to 360 degrees. And so if I know any two of these angles, or any three of these angles, I can figure out the fourth one, all right? And so that helps us understand also this term here, which is called interior angles. An interior angle are these angles right here. This is an interior angle here, here. There's 4 interior angles. So in your math lesson, they're going to ask you, if I was to add up all the interior angles in this shape, how many degrees would it be? And you would already know, we'd already figured out by separating it into 2 triangles, that's 360 degrees. All right? Well, what about something like this pentagon over here? All right? How many diagonals does this pentagon have? Well, if I start at this corner right here, I draw a line here, I draw a line here, I know now that there's 4 triangles. And if I multiply that times 180, that's going to tell me how many degrees there are in all the interior angles. All right? So if I did 180 times 4, I get, please don't draw I get 720. And 720 degrees are what's inside this pentagon. But if they ask you a question that says, if this is a regular pentagon, all the angles are the same, what's the measure of each one of these angles if they're all the same? Well, I would have to take that 720 and divide it by 5 to figure that out. Well, let's see what it is. That goes in 5, and I get 2, I get 22. And so that's going to be 4. And that's going to be 20. Subtract, I get a 2 and a 20 again. So it's 144. So each of these angles is 144 degrees. All right. Now over here, if I do the same thing, how many diagonals are in this shape right here? I can start from this corner. It doesn't matter which corner I start with. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 diagonals. How many triangles does that make for us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles. So what that means is I'm going to have to multiply 180 times 5 to figure out how many degrees there are in that entire shape. That's another 40. I gotta carry my 4, so it's 9. It's 900 degrees. All right. Well, what kind of shape is this? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's a 7-sided shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So to figure out how many degrees each angle is, I would have to do 900 divided by 7. All right. So we talked about interior angles. We need to talk a little bit about exterior angles. All right. An exterior angle is an angle that is on the outside. So if I take this side of the pentagon and continue a line out there, in here is the interior angle. All right. But this angle right here is what we call the exterior angle. All right. And that exterior angle, you can figure it out. If you know what the interior angle is, you can figure out the exterior, because they're always both going to be adding up to 180 degrees. So if I know that this one is 144 degrees, I take my 180, subtract my 144, and I'm going to get 36 degrees. All right. I just realized I blew it. You guys, anybody catch my mistake? My mistake, you guys can unmute yourself. My mistake was right here, because I did 4 times 180. And when I draw my diagonals, I only have 3 triangles there. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I should have done 180 times 3, and then that's going to give me 540, and then I divide 540 by 5, because there's 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I get 108. So I would need to subtract this 108 here. This is 108. And that's not going to give me 36. It's going to give me 72. Okay, that's your exterior angle. Sorry to confuse you by that. Now, on your assignment, I'm going to ask you to do practice sets A, B, C, D, and E. It's just more of the same sort of stuff. I think you're going to get this. Did I confuse you guys too much by my mess up there? Did you understand what I was doing?
Yeah, I understand.
All right. Any questions about diagonals? Any questions about figuring out all the angles, how you can get the sum of all the angles in a shape? How you can figure out what each angle is. If it's called a regular, octagon or a regular pentagon, that means all the angles are the same. So you just have to divide the total angles on the inside by how many sides there are. You understand the difference between an interior and exterior angle. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Did any of you have any issues with or problems with how I set stuff up so that you can correct your own answers? Let me go over that one more time. All right. We'll go right here. If I'm at my classwork and I'm going to my course 2 classwork, notice here I've got this little section right here, solutions. You're going to put your answers here, but check your solutions. If you click on this, you'll get this document that has the solutions. All right. You can check your work just like you normally would. Be responsible for your own learning. And if you have any questions, give me a text or give me an email. I'll help you out. I'll All right. You guys good to go? Thumbs up. All right. I'm going to stop recording and you guys can get to work on your math.